I really appreciate the opportunity that our coaching network has given me to speak here tonight. Really want to just make sure I take the opportunity to thank a few people. Number one, I want to thank Jake Chapman, our video director here at Wyoming, because without him, none of this would have been possible here tonight. And I also just want to make sure I thank the defensive staff who have been more than gracious to me and have been more than willing to impart a lot of their knowledge unto me. So I'm forever grateful for that. I'd like to share a little bit of that knowledge here with you tonight. For the talk, we're going to really zero in on our drills and the application of those drills. And so I hope that some of the coaching points you find really useful and you can take something back with you as well. All right, just to give you a little bit of an idea of me and my teaching progression, I frame everything around the concept of piece, part, whole. And so that won't be any different here tonight, save for one minor detail. So when I talk about piece, part, whole, typically we're going to give guys a diagram of the drill. That way, when we're on the field, we don't have to waste any time in organization or in explaining the coaching points. When I talk about the part in terms of the teaching progression, that's when we'll actually get into film evidence of the drill itself so we can teach off of that. And when we talk about the whole, we're talking about the big picture. How does this drill apply? How does it translate to the field of play? And so we will be following that progression, except for the fact that for the sake of time tonight, I've excluded the diagrams. If you guys are interested in seeing any of the diagrams or how we operate beyond what I show you here tonight, I'll have a section at the end with my contact information on it. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to network with a lot of you guys and we can get that stuff sent along. So I wanted to preface the talk with that teaching progression. I also wanted to preface the talk by talking a little bit about a useful exercise we've done here at Wyoming. So this is our drill inventory. All right. Every season, whether it's the spring ball season or it's going to be the actual fall season itself, up into camp, we're going to take note of every drill we're running. Okay. And we're talking about the number of periods we're devoting to it. And in doing so, we really find after the fact, are we devoting the correct and appropriate amount of time to what we feel is pertinent and is necessary, given our skill set, given our experience, and given our philosophy. This is a really good exercise to see if what we're aligning ourselves with in drills matches up with what we want to do philosophically. And so I've presented this here for you guys tonight. In 4 different categories, I've kind of grouped the drills. First and foremost, our everyday drills is something to kind of get the guys warmed up. It's all going to be movement based. Typically, it's going to revolve around crossover, run, and shuffle. We'll get that to you here shortly. All right. The next biggest thing we did overall was our drops and coverage. And specifically, we're talking about how we play the pass game. All right. Here at Wyoming, we feel that the pass is going to be the thing that beats you the quickest and can really beat you the most. So we're going to make sure we cover that, especially in spring where it's a non-padded situation sometimes, or it's going to be a little less contact. This is a great opportunity for us to really try and hone in on those skills. So whether we're working on our landmarks in single and double high coverages, understand how we fit up the boot in those same coverages, or working on man technique with tight ends and running backs. That took up about 30% of our drill work. Now, again, that's not to say that that's our number one priority every single offseason, but in this offseason, we felt that that was something we wanted to kind of key in on. That's an exercise that we try to make sure ahead of time, hey, what are the 5 to 6 most important drills we want to make sure we're covering on a regular basis here in spring? So some springs, maybe eyes, the number 2 bullet point there is actually our number 1. It's all pretty fluid, but it's a really useful exercise. If you guys are interested in learning about what we're doing in terms of the pass game here at Wyoming, I'd really encourage you here on our coaching network. Aaron Bull, the full-time linebackers coach here, does a really great job with our guys. And he actually gave a talk earlier before, so that's a shameless plug for him. And I would definitely encourage you to check that out. Number 2, eyes. Every coach in America is always going to work on their key drill. All right. Making sure you understand how you're going to fit up certain plays based off the coverage behind you. And so for the purpose of this talk, we're really going to zero in on numbers 3 and 4. Our tackling. Okay. I'm going to tell you philosophically right now, tackling, we really believe that you got to provide your guys with 2 things for them to be good fundamental tacklers at the linebacker position. 1, they need to have a good understanding of leverage. And 2, you got to give them the confidence, which really comes from repetition. And so we're going to work a lot of that. As you can see, about 20% of our drill work comes in tackling form. So we're working on leverage. We're working on the profile tackles. We call it the pin the hip tackle here at Wyoming. And we also work on our finish. All right. And finally, we'll get into some pass rush and block destruction. But as you can tell, that's not a critical piece of what we're doing in terms of drills. Not because we don't value it, but because based off of what we see in this conference and how often we ask our guys to do that, we're going to give them more survival skills rather than we are a plethora of skills. And so that's why you see we've got really 2 drills that we'll try and cover here tonight. All right. So let's first start with our everyday drills. The biggest one that I wanted to cover was our shuffle crossover, which is a 4-part progression here. Okay. And so some of the coaching points I'd like to cover ahead of time. Okay. Number 1, we want to make sure that we are pushing off with this and gaining ground with this front foot, and we want to pull through with this back foot. Again, we're trying to make sure the shoulders are square here. Our heels aren't friends. We don't want to click them. Okay. Again, pretty simple drill. It's all in an auditory stimulus. So when the whistle blows, then we're going to break them downhill. We're trying to be as concise as possible with our movement. So I'd really encourage you, check out this guy in the back here, 28 Easton Gibbs from Temecula, California. All right. He's really concise just in terms of making sure there's no wasted movement and he's not getting outside his framework there. Okay. Part 2 of the progression is just the same concept. Now we're working on the crossover run. As spring ball has kind of gone along, what we've decided to do is to get away from the auditory stimulus, and we've really given them a visual cue to make sure that they understand that they need to keep eyes back on the key while they're doing this. So that's going to help us really make sure that they pin their back shoulder while keeping focus on the key here. So what we've done to cue them to come downhill, we'll lift the cap. Sometimes we'll tap the hip, or we'll even kick our leg. But ultimately what we're trying to do is crossover run, gain ground, and then again on the cue, that's when they'll break downhill. All right. That's part 2 of the progression. Part 3 of the progression is where they will now shuffle to sprint to shuffle. Again, it's a crossover run there. All right. And really what we feel that this is going to be especially beneficial for, and you'll see here in some of the game clips, this is going to be great when they get to a gap, they're tracking a running back, and now they're trying to leverage it between someone. So again, making sure they seamlessly transition, keeping that shoulder back. All right, we try to deliver them a ball there at the end. And then the 4th and final piece of the progression is what we call shuffle, shuffle, sprint. All right, and this opportunity gives us, this clip gives us a great opportunity for a few coaching points. All right, so first we want to watch number 53 in the back right here. Okay, as you can tell based off of his footwork, he is galloping right now. All right. Hence, you can see that there isn't that step replace kind of footwork we're looking for. All right. If you watch 47, he's got that step replace footwork we're looking for. That's Brent Vanderveen from Cedro Woolley in Washington. Does a really good job with the step replace. The one thing I'd like to see him be better at is this position right here. All right. As you can tell, this right leg, as we're looking at it, is outside of his framework. All right. For DBs, all right, we really want to be as tight as possible in our breaks. Linebackers have a little more room to get in and out of their breaks. So I always try and tell them, and that illustration is pretty appropriate. We want to make sure we make all our breaks inside a hula hoop. All right. If you're getting any wider than that, you're susceptible to falling. You're susceptible to losing your feet there. All right. So let's see how these drills transition then to the game of play here. All right. 47 is going to be the guy you want to watch here. All right. He's going to get action to his left, and he's going to be responsible for that A gap. All right. As the flow happens to the left here, all right, you'll see he does a really good job matching the tempo of the play itself. Crossover runs the A gap. Right here's where we'll pause it. Boom. All right. At this point in time, because he's crossed over and squared up to his A gap, he has a direct line of sight as to what's going on here. All right. It's critical that we make sure we get to that gap fast so that we can get an idea of what's going on here. Here you can see the running back is no longer a threat to his gap. So he's going to retransition to that crossover run. As the running back starts to cut up field, he's maintained good leverage on his back hip, and now he can tag off and make a great play there. Okay. Really good rep from 47, applying those skills. Here we're going to want to watch 48, Chad Muma. And I'd really recommend you guys, if you get a chance, to watch him throughout the year because he's a phenomenal football player, really should be on a lot of draft boards going into next season. He's a technician. Again, he gets flow to his right. He's got a really crossover run to get to that B gap of his. All right. Once the ball then starts to threaten his gap right here, he's squared up. He's in a position to press downhill. And because he does, he's now able to vice this thing back to that defensive end 59. And now he's in great position to make a tackle there on the running back. Again, just a wonderful application of the skill itself. All right. For the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next station here. All right. Transitioning to tackling. Okay. Again, we talked about how tackling is a lot of leverage and a lot of confidence. And that's why you'll see this is really the meat and potatoes of this presentation. A lot of these drills will have the commonality of coaching points. It all ties in together. All right. And you'll see how they all kind of apply here. All right. We kind of get into some game clips. So for you guys at home, you know, just talking about what we call our tackle box here. This is a drill that I feel like can be applied at every level, whether it's youth league all the way up to where we're at collegiate football here in the FBS level. All right. For the dimensions, all right, we really put these cones. We set the parameter here on the edge of the hash. And then we set the other one here, right down the middle. If you got the X in the middle of your field or any of those lacrosse markings, a lot of times that's going to give you a good idea of about how big of a space you're looking for there. All right. Ultimately, it's about 7.5 yards deep. All right. In terms of length here. And then we've got these cones set up. You'll see their application here momentarily. They're about 2.5 yards beyond that yard line there. All right. And so they're going to be dead in the middle. All right. What we're looking for in this drill, all right, is that J tackle, that banana tackle that everyone likes to work on to focus on your leverage. In our defensive structure, all right, we're running through our leverage. If you're a defensive back, you're playing middle of the field safety and you're coming downhill, you might short shimmy, you might come to balance. That's great. But for us, we're really going to be tracking plays down. All right. We're going to be hustle and pursuit to plays. And so we got to run through our leverage. And so this drill, we feel like does a really good job of not only helping them understand leverage, but also making sure that it's realistic and it's applicable to what we're asking them to do in game. All right. So we're always going to try and include a ball carrier as often as we can in our drills. All right. For the simple fact that we want to try and give our guys as many opportunities as we can for them to tag off on the hip. All right. And understand that there's going to be some coaching points that go into tagging off on the hip. So we're going to ask this guy to step downhill right away. All right. And it's counterintuitive, but we want him to lose a step on the ball carrier. All right. Reason being, because we want to make sure we can get to that back hip and we want to prevent the cutback at all costs. So in doing so, we take away his two-way go on us when we're coming downhill. And then when we come and tag off on the hip, you'll see that we are going to come to balance with the near foot, near leg on the near shoulder. We're going to have palms up. We're going to rise from low to high. We're going to uncoil our hips and we're going to bring our back leg through. All right. So here's 48. Good one to start here. Now, unfortunately, 48 does a false step here with his first, as we're looking at our left foot, false steps underneath of himself. But ultimately, we're not going to split hairs about it because he comes downhill. He's able to time that thing up, lose that leverage. You see, he's got palms up there, uncoils the hips and brings that back leg through, that right leg through. All right. You'll notice that's going to be a consistent theme for us here tonight. 47, that's Vanderveen again from Cedro Woolley. Again, a little wide just in his footwork, but ultimately comes downhill, takes away the leverage, tags off on the hip. All right. So we'll do it from the other side. Nothing special there. Same concept. Again, low to high. We really want to make sure we're working on uncoiling those hips, tagging off. I try to be a real stickler. If you notice, I'm standing over here because I want to get a real good line of sight at their feet, okay? You see a little, you see a lot. Aon Blake taught me that, and I'll tell you what, it's changed a lot of how I coach because I see that now as he fall stepping, as he coming downhill, as he taking an angle step where he's automatically losing his leverage. All those things matter right from the rip. All right. Then what we'll do is we'll get them into that center cone. All right. And when we do that, all right, a lot of lesser athletes will get nervous in this portion of the drill because when they get more space, that's more opportunity for this guy to make a move and make them look silly. All right. When in reality, you shouldn't be nervous about the fact that you have more space. And if anything, space is our enemy. So remove as much space as possible. Don't slow your feet down because you're nervous. We want you to drive downhill as quickly as you can. Eat up as much grass, remove the space between you and him. So 48 is a textbook example here. All right. He's all the way downhill, full bore here. All right. We let the running back or the ball carrier, he gets one move to dictate his leverage one way or the other. All right. But ultimately, you'll see 48 does a good job, read, react, and then he's going to, again, near foot, near shoulder, tag off, low to high, palms up. And again, we try to let these running backs, these ball carriers have the agency to do a little bit of, if they got some shimmy and some shake to them, let them do it. Now, a lot of these guys think they're sweet. Most of the time they're not. Otherwise, they'd be on the offensive side of the ball. All right. That's what always happens. They steal the guys with the most juice. All right. Now, we like to think we got some pretty good juice, and that's why we're going to have you watch 45 out here. He's the linebacker on the left. All right. You're going to see we get the now screen right now. Okay. This is a really good example. Watch his leverage. All right. Boom, comes downhill late, bends that thing late. All right. And he's tagging off on the hip. When we talk about the letter J itself, all right, from top to bottom, it's not until the 90% mark of the shape itself that the thing curves. So again, in our path, we don't want to curve until about 90% into our motion. And you'll see here, about 90% away in his motion, he does a really good job. That's Reed's son there from Alaska, Wasilla, Alaska. We got him from all over out here in Wyoming. Again, Reed's son will be the guy we're watching, number 45. Okay. This is a really impressive play. All right. You're going to he's keying this tight end fullback, H back. All right. When he goes back, he's thinking he's got to go into some 2x2 alignments. All right. Well, that's going to take him into an interior gap, and he gets the bubble screen out here on the perimeter. All right. Love Reed's son to death, but he'll be the first to tell you he's not the most fleet of foot. But because he gets such a quick read here and he has a good understanding of leverage, he makes this play on the perimeter for 2 to 3 yards. A linebacker coming from an interior gap, 2 to 3 yard gain on a perimeter screen, we'll take that all day. All right. And again, that's something we feel like that drill really is going to, teach them. All right. Then we'll transition to our fit tackle. The fit tackle is not a special drill. All right. Everyone does this drill from high school on up into college. All right. It's not the drill that's special. You got to make sure you're being intentional in your coaching points. So we wanted to make sure we take the time to coach on this one pretty heavily. All right. So again, 48's on the other side of 33 here. All right. Again, this kid's a technician. So the points we're teaching here. All right. We want to make sure we are crouched. Our hips are coiled. All right. When we say coiled, we're thinking of our hips as springs. All right. So when we uncoil them, it's an explosive, powerful upward motion. We want to be violent with that. All right. We want our knee to split his crotch. And when we shoot our hips forward and we triple extend, meaning we should have extension at the ankles, knees, and hips. All right. We are forklifting our arms. And the most important and critical piece here, his left leg, as we're looking at it from this angle, needs to clear his front foot. All right. That foot really needs to drive through and he needs to clear that front foot. You're going to know if he did a real great job if this player here, if his stomach, abdomen, torso area is resting on the pec of our linebacker. All right. So we'll watch this one in slow motion here. Again, watch that left leg as we're looking at it. All right. This one here on the left side, if you can see my mouse. Again, he clears this right foot he's got down there, does it effortlessly. All right. Also want to point out, just a player's coach out here, willing to put his body on the line there, no pads. They don't make them like this anymore. And so ultimately, though, this guy, we really like Reed here in this sense. All right. The only thing that he does, I think he dips his head and I'm too much on his shoulder. All right. That's telling you here, if you pause it, we'd like to see him have a little wider base. All right. We'll get a few more clips of that though. All right. Again, really nice job here by 48. 53 here. Let's go back on 53. On the left side here, 53. Again, he's got a narrow base, but ultimately it's not terrible. The only thing I'd say, he's coming almost parallel with that back foot. All right. Now what we'll do is we'll back him up. And so we'll work on the approach here. All right. We'll have him short shimmy into position. All right. Again, that near knee should split the crotch, uncoil the hips, fork lift the arms, triple extend at the joints. All right. Let that back foot clear. All right. Now here's where I want to point out 53 on the left side here. All right. Watch his stance here. All right. Now, again, he's wide. And not only is he wide, he's all out of sorts. All right. At the end of the day, I used to be the strength and conditioning coach at Heidelberg University in Tiffin, Ohio. And anyone who's ever been around the game of football can tell you that when you're squatting, when you're hang cleaning, when you're doing any of those explosive movements, the last thing you need is a wide base. And the last thing you want is either your knees pointing inward or your knees pointing extensively outward. All right. Here, we've got no base, no power in our stance and in our footwork here to help our case. All right. And so because of that, he's going to have a really hard time trying to roll his hips. And he's going to have a really hard time trying to maintain the tackle there. Okay. So again, we want to be under our base there. I'm not even worried about the fact that his foot isn't splitting the crotch. Because again, not every tackle is going to be perfect. We know that, but ultimately it's that posture, that position that's going to do him a disservice here. Now he does a lot better job of it here. Beg your pardon. Does a lot better job of it here as he's coming in, clears with that back foot. He's now maybe too narrow on the base, but if he's comfortable there, I'll take a guy who's comfortable on narrow rather than a guy who's going to be unathletic when he's wide. All right. So again, something we're working on there to make sure we're working on the fit and the finish there. Again, making sure we uncoil the hips, we forklift the arms, we drive the back leg, run your feet. Again, you'll notice there's a commonality in those coaching points. Okay. Now we'll transition to the tackle sled. All right. This tackle sled is great because it gives us instant feedback on the guys tackling for. All right. We're going to have them sprint to about 2 yards distance from that tackling sled. And once they get within 2 yards distance of that tackling sled, again, they're still working the same concepts. We're going to have the head on the right side here, cheek to cheek type tackle. So their left cheek should be on the right butt cheek of that ball carrier of this popsicle sled here. All right. He's going to, again, uncoil his hips, run his feet, and he's going to forklift his arms. All right. Now, we love this thing because it gives you instant feedback. And we'll talk about that because if you're too high or your feet die, that thing's going to spin like a top. 28 here, though, phenomenal rep. This thing's smooth like butter. Okay. Again, does a really good job. Near foot, near elbow, or excuse me, near foot, near shoulder. Okay. Head on that side. Watch, he brings that right foot through, runs his feet. That thing dies right there on the spot. Love it. 53 is up next. Connor Shea from Danville, California. Does a good job again on the approach. Good, near shoulder, near foot. Brings that right foot through, drives the feet. Again, that thing's not moving a whole hell of a lot. All right. Now we're taking a look at a couple examples where our feet die and we're a little high. All right. My man Chuck Hicks from San Diego. Really good player for us, Chuck. Unfortunately, we just caught him on a tough rep here. He's real high right now. All right. See how he's got helmet almost on the shoulder of this dummy on the popsicle sled. All right. And so because he does that, this thing spins like a top. No matter how much he runs his feet, if we're low, right? The old football saying, somebody's coach way back when always said, low man wins. Well, it's a cliche for a reason. All right. There's a lot of truth to it. Boom, right here, just a little high. Okay. Our boy Reed's son, 45 back up here. Okay. Not a bad rep by any means. Again, his feet just almost come parallel there. All right. Feet come parallel. And so he loses a little bit of his gain. Doesn't get that back foot enough. Again, not a bad rep, but again, just an area to coach him on a little further. All right. This is our gap tackle drill. Again, working away on a nice pace here. Like if we're going too quick, I'll have my contact information at the end. I'd be happy to show you this at a much more abbreviated pace. All right. So again, this is our linebacker. This is our ball carrier. You can cut up in either gap, or you can take it off the edge. But if you take it off the edge, we're going to execute a roll tackle, gator tackle, whatever you'd like to call it. Well, there's no crash pad back here. These guys hate to hit the deck. So on days when we're really trying to make sure we get a little more pop from the pads, we'll put this drill together, and ultimately it sounds messed up, but we're manipulating them to go in these gaps. So we work on our fit tackle here. All right. Again, working on leverage, making sure that we run our feet through. This is a really good example of Muma coming through here. Again, foot splits the crotch, back foot comes through. Notice that his abdomen is posted up on his pec there. All right. Again, that's the great, when you're looking for coaching cues there, you're looking to make sure that that's consistent across the board each time. 53, Connor does a really nice job here. All right. Again, he doesn't bring that back foot through quite as much, but he does clear the front foot. And because he does so, he's a lot more comfortable. He's a lot more balanced. All right. You see those off-season videos, especially during the pandemic, of the O-linemen. All right. Coach Scott's going to talk here a little bit. Guys at duties out at Kent State. He's going to talk about those guys, right? That silverback gorilla form where they're pushing that truck and they've got that good footwork, like when you're on the prowler. All right. Well, that's really not too dissimilar here. All right. That same kind of footwork, that drive, that's what we're looking for there from 53. All right. Poor example here. First, what you'll see from 57. All right. Right now, he's coming in. He's got good approach, but then look how he squares his feet up. All right. He's got no base now. All right. He's parallel. It's going to be really hard for him to roll his hips from here. And you'll see that's exactly what happens. All right. 48 only weighs about 240, 250. 57 is a strong kid. All right. But because he's got no base under him there, all right, he can't bring that back foot through. All right. Now, 47 gives us a little bit of a disappointing rep here, only because first he starts off with a false step. And then you'll notice he crossover runs and automatically loses his leverage. All right. Again, these things all matter. All right. We talked about shuffle crossovers, our everyday drill. Well, it still has application here. All right. So again, he crossovers and now he loses his leverage. And because he does that, he hops in right there. And again, notice how his feet both parallel. All right. We've got no power, no base here. Not a lot of run through there. All right. You see Coach Bull not flinching at him. He's trying to tell him he's hopping. Tell him how he's not running through. He's not able to run his feet with a base like that. Okay. So we pulled a few clips. All right. Some from this spring, some from previous. All right. Full disclosure here. We went to some previous clips of some impressive examples from game situations, simply because in spring, the number of contact opportunities you have is more limited. And so some of these are, tag opportunities. We really wanted to make sure we emphasized on the finish. And so that came in game situations. 57, my man, I was criticizing him earlier. He took it in stride though. He has great form on this one. All right. We get the quarterback run to the right. Okay. Boom. He's going to be near foot, near shoulder. And he's going to run his feet real well there. Okay. Not an impressive tackle by any means, but it's a good demonstration of our form. All right, this is one where we're looking for better form here. All right, full disclosure, Easton Gibbs, 28 from Temecula, probably our best athlete in the linebacker room. All right, not to dog on him, so don't take me the wrong way here. This was a long scrimmage. He took almost every rep. He was banged up, so I'm not hating on the guy. He made a million great plays before this. All right, but when he makes this play, you could tell he was pretty gassed at this point. All right, he lunges. Look how wide he is from one another. Okay, he lunges, and then when he comes through here, his head's ducked. Then he comes back square. All right, he's running his feet as best he can. All right, but ultimately it's not great form. Thankfully, we got great D linemen, great hustle and pursuit from the backside. And I'll tell you, between you and me, we're not going to criticize Easton face to face on this one, because at the end of the day, it's hard to really critique a TFL too bad. So here's an in-game rep. All right, the guy you're going to want to watch, Logan Wilson, was the first overall pick of the 3rd round by the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, pokes from the pros. He does a really good job executing that shuffle crossover, gets to his gap, and then watch this as he makes contact here. I mean, the guy is running high knees there, like middle school football, as he's finishing that tackle. All right, that's a beautiful example of our fit and finish there. Bringing that back knee through and driving. All right, again, his is from Hawaii a few years ago. It'll be none other than the governor himself, Logan Wilson again. He's going to be fitting on this running back, 21 out of Wildcat here. Again, great fit. You'll notice he runs his feet. Helps that he's able to tabletop him over top of Carl Granderson there. Another poke in the pro. All right, here you'll see number 48, Chad Moomer, the guy we've been hyping up all the entirety of this drill session here. All right, this is him, a young buck, just a couple years back, our home win against Missouri. All right, he's fitting this A gap here on the right side of the center. Once that gap shuts, does a good job falling out, working over the top. Boom, makes a great stick on the kid. Now, initially, his feet die. But then watch us how he gathers himself, recovers, and again, he brings those back feet through, and he helps to finish that play. That's a huge play in that coming out zone when we've got Missouri and SEC team backed up there. All right, and here's one of the more fun ones we've got. This is our trash can tackle drill. All right, we're a little bit more blessed that we've got about 10 to 15 trash cans at our disposal here. All right, but we're going to set these up about just inside the hash here. All right, about goal line to 10. And we're really just going to get linebackers coming in from just outside the hash, and they're going to work in there, all right? And they're going to sort through and vice this tackle, all right? We put a linebacker at running back, let him have a lot of fun, try and put some juice on him, all right? The guy who tags him first gets to go be the running back. Again, they all think they're sweet. Most times they're not, but it's a lot of fun, all right? So looking at how this applies, 48 here, all right? You'll notice he's on the backside of this play. He's working over top a climbing tackle on the backside, underneath a guard who's trying to reach this front side linebacker. And he's making sure that number 6 here, Xavier Valladay, has no chance at the cutback there. Ultimately, is that the most impressive of plays? No. But we want to be big erasers in this defense. We want to make sure that we limit the explosive opportunities here. And so those plays are necessary. 33, Chuck Hicks. He's the one you want to watch here. Again, he sees this key going back. We got a DN getting double-hatted here. We got a safety getting cracked. He sorts through all that, chases this thing to the perimeter, tags off on the hip. All right? Something we really appreciate and we really enjoy about that drill. All right, for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and skip.
You got 2 minutes, Coach.
That's right. I appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and skip the profile tackle. All right. And we're going to get into our block destruction drill. All right. Again, block destruction is an opportunity, an area where a lot of coaches like to be more creative. For us, we try to make sure that we give them, like I said, survival skills. So this drill right here, sprint, square, sprint. All right. Oncoming blocker, you are going to sprint to him. You will square up on the point of contact. You will strike through the cylinder, thumbs up, working on tagging off on the hip here. Again, we don't want to have to engage with these guys if we don't have to. All right. We want to make sure that we are working over the top, playing lateral, preventing big plays from happening. That's why right here we'll ghost them sometimes. Understand, you don't have to work into a guy. Just because he's climbing to you doesn't mean you got to get hands on him. All right. Get over the top, keep your leverage. As long as you maintain your leverage, come downhill and make the play. All right. So here we're going to watch 53. Okay. 53 does a good job. Now he does come downhill a little bit, which is why 64 is able to get hands on him. But boom, quick and easy. All right. It's subtle. It's brief. It's not going to be overly impressive. That's what allows him right now to take away a cutback be in position to make a play if he's not getting held there. And we're not going to complain about holding. They don't call it, so don't worry about it. 28, Easton Gibbs, the guy you're going to watch on this rep. Left tackle here, Frank Crumb's climbing up to the next level. Again, simple, brief, just a quick get off me, all right? We will evade before we engage 10 times out of 10 if we can. We're going to be quicker to the play and watch how he finishes with that nice knee drive on the way back through. All right. Our blitz moves, going to go through this one quick. We're only going to focus on these cans here. All right. So as these cans, we like to use these cans instead of pop-ups. All right. We're really working on getting our hips open here. All right. So as you see the middle of the field there, we're going to push off. Boom. Push off that left foot. We're going to point the toe of our right, bring our hips around. We're going to finish with the move, stack that lineman tight. Okay. Again, we're watching the middle of the field here on this rep. Again, watch how he pushes off the left, opens up the hips, gets skinny, brings the right foot through, stacks it. All right. Show you a good example of it, and we'll let you guys go tonight. 46 is our guy we want to watch here. He's got bad intentions. He's going to come like a bat out of hell through that A gap, and this running back wants nothing a part of it. But he does a really good job, as you see here. Boom, pushes off the right. As he pushes off the right, he throws hands. He gets his hips around, and he's going to stack this guy. Now, is that legal? I don't know. Or is that for me to decide? No, I'm on the sidelines. There's a reason I'm not in stripes, okay? Ultimately, we'd like to see him work an arm over or a rip underneath, but our goal is accomplished here because now he is in a position to disrupt this quarterback, move him off his spot, and ultimately that's the effect of pressure. All right. Again, that's something I can go into more detail on if you guys would like. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right. Coaching has been a profession that has given so much to me, and I'd love to give a whole lot back to it. So if you'd like to reach out and contact me, my email, enichol@uyo.edu. I'm a big Twitter guy. I spend far too much time on Twitter. I'd love to network, connect with you guys, share ideas there as well. And heck, we got a great schedule coming up here this year. We think the Mountain West is the best Group of 5 conference. Coach Scott, don't hold that against me, but check out some of our games this year, and hopefully you'll see some of that technique on display. All right, with that being said, I'll pass the screen back over to you guys. Again, thanks for tuning in tonight.